SFJ4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity. What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of lathe.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast presented by SFJ4x4.com. My name is Neil.
Are you sure?
I am very sure.
He
I'm
should be very sure because we are all sporting the different versions of "'Tis the Season to Be
I
Wheeling"
can still
hoodies.
pull a hooded sweatshirt over my head. Just saying.
He doesn't need a zip. He just made a zip joke. He made a zip joke.
You guys remind me of my dad.
I am younger than you. Just putting it out
You're-
there.
I'm
Davey's
just, I
like
can pull a hooded sweatshirt
Jeffrey
over
is
my
like
head.
the same age as Davey as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, not that young. Come on now.
Jeffrey could be my dad over there.
We are all you know what, we didn't know we were doing this today, but we
No.
look good.
Yeah.
Goodness. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, but my name is Neil with SFJ4x4.com, in the SFJ4x4 studio, joined as per the usual,
Jeff Shermani.
Are you sure?
the Italian Stallion,
And then there's a mad
the
scientist guy over
producer,
there.
and the mad
You're
scientist.
the mad scientist, maddest of scientists. And I was sprinkling Jeeps this morning.
Well, who is the mad scientist?
See, here's the thing. I called you out on the American Hustle podcast this morning, Jeffrey. You're calling him out whether he put his name
I'm
out there.
telling you, I put my name out there.
You didn't.
sure?
You didn't. And so Scott hasn't put his name out either. So
Scott Brown, the
what a bunch of
maddest of
clowns.
scientists that
What
can
a-
still pull a hooded sweatshirt over
Doc
his head.
Brown.
And,
Listen, but you can't see my flannel. If I rock a
he is
pullover,
rocking the nice flannel.
I got the blue flannel with the blue and white hat.
It does allow him to.
He also
lower
doesn't know
the
how to
zipper.
silence his cell phone.
He doesn't. It's fine.
I just listen. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
You're right. You are that guy who's gonna let your phone just interrupt meetings and.
No, I'm not that guy.
That's why.
I got a
You're
lot
not
of calls.
You're
I
not
get a
that
lot
guy,
of
but it was
calls at
during
this
our
point.
first podcast. It was during this podcast.
I get a lot of stuff. I got a lot of calls at this point.
We're just gonna jump to comments quick because
They're
there's
on
already a lot. So we've got Chip saying good morning, fellas.
Morning.
Morning, Chip.
Darla says good morning.
Good
morning.
morning.
Amy says good morning.
Good morning, honey.
Brad says happy Monday, fellas.
Happy Monday.
Joe Brilla's already singing Jingle Bells, Santa Smells.
I do love a good parody.
Blasphemy. Blasphemy, Joe.
It's almost time for Porky Pig Blue Christmas.
Oh, boy.
God.
And then-
God, that is the worst.
And then Chip is saying zip is a way to go. You can control heat better if you work in it.
Well, that is true.
That's right.
And you can show
Down a
off your
little bit,
flannel.
and you can show off your flannel.
Scott's-
See, really,
Scott's
those are the only two
really-
things that we need to worry about.
He's really rethinking the
No,
zipper.
those are still more expensive, and I'm cheap.
That's fair.
That's
I
true.
got
That's
cars and Jeeps to feed.
That is that's
is-
true. That's he's accurate. Okay, good talk on that one.
Yep.
We are, if for those of you who are listening at home, and we appreciate all three of you who have it on, in your truck or on the airplane that you're commuting in,
Or your meeting.
or your meeting, and you can't see us. We are wearing the official seasonal "'Tis the Season to Be Wheeling" hoodies. We ran a promotion on these, sold out of them the first go around before Thanksgiving. They will be available at an indeterminate time into February because this is just a cool kind of wintry color. It's got a kind of a icy blue graphic, and it's available in
Neil's
black.
all about the blue.
I am, for obvious reasons that have to do with 4xEs. I'll be absolutely honest.
It's
Totally
almost
transparent.
what Old Blue has faded to as well.
It is almost what Old Blue has faded to. I'd love to give him a little buff job.
Yeah.
It would ruin the buffer in the process.
Sacrifices must be made.
Must be made.
Yes.
Daddy Jeep is saying morning, guys, and then Joe is still singing Christmas songs. All I want for Christmas is a dashboard with no check engine lights.
I can
Joe,
remove
that's-
the light bulb.
We could just take the dash out, Joe. I mean, that's
It'll
possible.
be fine. There'll be no warnings.
No, none at all. goodness. Yeah, so good morning to everybody, and thank you for joining us. It's important to note, if you're one of those 3 listeners, you're always welcome to come and join us live on Facebook at 10:19 a.m.
Be one of the cool kids.
Be one of the cool kids in the comments, hanging out, interacting with us.
I'll be honest, the last couple of weeks, I'm pretty sure our listeners were on live before we were at that 10:19.
They're awesome.
So they were the cool kids and we were the late ones.
Yeah,
Well,
that happens. And note that we will not be on air or producing podcasts for about 2 weeks at this point. We'll be off for the holidays, and opportunity to pivot to create some new engaging content for you in the coming year. With that said, today you're going to want to hold in there with us because, per usual, we'll give some personal updates, projects that we're working on. Don't forget, we've been in the industry for a really long time, built some really wild Jeeps, have some really cool Jeeps, but the Jeep lifestyle is a prevalent one for us, and it's about rugged individualism, DIYing, and endeavoring into adventures that, that might scare other people and yet doing it anyways, right? So we're going to give you some updates on our own personal lives. We're going to talk a little bit about the tree of SFJ, and how I contextualize things, the ghosts of Christmas, past, present, and future. And so we'll talk about a little bit of year in review, that tree of SFJ. We're going to kind of break down the business for our listeners, for our live audience today, of kind of exactly what the brand is doing. And then you may or may not want to just sign off at that point.
Nope, you definitely want to stay tuned for the 12 Days of Jeepmas that Neil will be singing.
Which has just been awful each time that
what
we
they're
have
here
tried
for.
it.
Let's
So,
just be honest.
So,
anywho.
in the meanwhile, in the comments, Lee's saying, "Yay, I'm a cool kid," and Diana Householder is saying, "Happy Monday."
Definitely lots of cool kids in the comments today,
Yes.
for sure. So, updates on the weekend, personal projects. Obviously, the internet is abuzz with things that we have done. Obviously, we are always sharing that on our personal socials, from car builds to nonprofits to houses and social engagements. Anything?
So I'm really trying to kick this cold or whatever the heck I have. So I took a nap after work on Saturday. So tell them how it is, people. And
That's right.
And you were giving us grief over our zip-up hoodies.
that's fine.
Meanwhile,
I was
you're
very comfortable in
napping-
my pullover.
You're napping in
Very comfortable in his pullover.
I was.
I
It's
have
right
actually-
temperature.
napping
It's-
in a lazy boy
Listen,
with
I'm
the
gonna
grandpa
take a
blanket
moment,
on.
because we're talking about the
I
brand
had
a little bit
my
today.
pullover. I didn't need a blanket.
I'm talking about
You
the brand
definitely had a
today.
grandpa blanket.
The idea, I have a grandpa blanket.
I do too, but I'm
the
saying he was
idea
definitely using
that
it.
we wear the merch we sell,
Yes.
and it needs to be quality because
Yes.
when you want to take that nap, it needs to
Yes.
be warm and
Yes.
fit right and not choke you and not be itchy and all those types of
all
things.
those things are all
So I hear
valid.
I hear that.
The other thing I did is because I just cannot leave things alone. I've been bothered by the knobs on the 36 dash for a minute. The dash is this beautiful blue, which is what I intend to make the car long term. And for 30s ways, you had I think like maybe 3 colors of plastic back in the day. You had pale, like off-white. You had brown. And he had brown. And because of just what happened, everything I have for the car is brown. And brown and blue, even though I've had many friends talk me down off this cliff, keep saying it doesn't look that bad, which that is really like present in that statement.
Accentuated, right? That bad.
I can't put brown knobs on the
This
dash,
beautiful
even
blue
though I
dash.
really like the fact that it says throttle and choke, and maybe my friend with his laser machine can help me on this, but we'll see. So I went out and I'm like, what can I use for metal knobs? And I would just admit, this is why cars take 4 years. I have been thinking about this for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I have searched high and low and here and there and everywhere, in our good old Dr. Seuss
Yeah, so it's
way.
a Dr. Seuss way.
He was talking like Dr. Seuss Saturday while we were working.
I was.
this up.
Perfect.
Might have been the cold. But anyway, I finally was like, I'm going to do a search, and there's this great group called The Ham that is all about pre-64 traditional hot rods.
Does it come with green eggs?
No.
Oh boy.
And you have to
Getting
look
deep
up
in
what
here.
the ham actually stands for. It's an acronym.
Yeah, it's an acronym. We're not.
I'm not going to tell you
Nope.
on it here. So anyway, somebody was like, I just went to my local hardware store and looked at their knobs. They have lots of them. I was like, OMG.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went to my favorite blue store, and they let me down.
Uh-huh.
They have Dose chrome knobs,
Ah.
which made me sad.
Go to the depot.
So I went to the depot, and they have more chrome knobs.
Yeah, they love their chrome.
And
don't
I wasn't
understand it.
here for the brushed
Brush nickel.
nickel.
Oh, I
look,
thought you would be.
But then
Honestly,
I saw
I would have thought so too.
Yeah.
the knob from across the room, and,
Oh, no.
and it made eyes at me.
Oh, the clouds parted,
Yes.
angels sang.
Oh, and it was almost a perfect copy of what the original knobs are,
No.
but in metal, and it's brushed nickel. So
Okay.
I need 4-ish 5. I bought 5. I'm going to see if I can polish it up a little bit, make it a little shinier, maybe. And then we'll see if maybe Jeffrey can make it say throttle and choke and stuff. But anyway,
That'd be cool.
now I have to adapt household knobs over to car. And so that will be the next thing,
The next challenge
the
for
next
you.
challenge. And at least it won't be brown.
Oh.
So even though it's sort of brown with it
Yeah.
being nickel now.
No.
So we go full
No,
circle.
No, it's not even
Anyway.
not even remotely close.
So now we have to decide what we do about the steering wheel, because the steering wheel plastic is still brown and the new old stock horn button is brown.
Ugh.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I've had that apart and back together 14 times.
Well, I guess it's going to be 15, so you get rid of your brown.
Yeah, we'll
That's
see.
right. That's right.
Also, back to the comments, Chip saying Neil singing is the best train wreck ever.
No.
Joe is singing again. Grandma got run over by a KJ.
As it should be.
Grandma got run over by a KJ. We could do a whole SFJ
Where was
holiday
this 3
hits.
weeks ago?
We
Now,
could
Jeffrey, I could see the Inspire. coming
Next,
to
Oh my
Jeffrey.
God.
next year, we're releasing an SFJ Christmas spoof album.
We should do a whole spoof album. In Darla's defense, she did actually message us some content ideas and was like, I think this would be really fun if you guys did this. Now, she sort of suggested it, and we're just unpacking it at
Yes.
this point.
Right.
But I feel like it could be like those. Remember Publishers Clearinghouse, wasn't it Publishers that did the CDs as well?
Yeah.
Or was that?
Oh, yeah.
Was it? You could buy into that CD, and then
right
they-
about now, 30 years ago, QVC was totally selling the multi-box. You just kept opening it.
Yes,
There was tons
of the
CDs.
different of the CDs of the
Yes.
different
Yeah.
variations. We could do our own like spoof commercial with little 30-second
Jeff's so
clips.
good at that, too.
Oh, this is
And-
going to be fun.
We're gonna need Joe's comments, right? And he'll have to
Yeah.
obviously share his ideas as well. That would be spectacular.
Yes. But you mean you have to record little clips, because those are always playing in the background.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're playing while we're doing the commercial. Davey's been wanting to make a spoof commercial for a minute now. Honestly.
We're due. So, also in the comments, Dale said, good morning and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas
Christmas.
to you, Dale.
And Roy is saying, good morning, buddies.
Hey, Roy. So, Jeffrey, you said you were in a nonprofit meeting this morning. In our other talk here.
So that was
Not this morning. You said it this morning, but you said you were recently in this.
So that would have been last Sunday, actually. So
Oh,
that was
okay.
that. I was just referencing that for the topic of that podcast. But this weekend, I decided to do some maintenance on the Jeep and do some wrenching.
I am
and
proud of Jeff.
I
He
was-
went outside of his comfort zone. Like he was in the next county
I
outside
was.
of his comfort zone. I
love it.
I woke up from my nap long enough for Jeff to go, help. Can you come back to the shop? And I looked down. I had 2 cats sleeping on me, as you
He
should.
replied, nope.
I'm in my chair. I'm asleep. No, man. I'm not coming for you.
Prepare to self-rescue.
You got all the tools that we build Jeeps with. You'll be
Yeah,
just fine.
I was at the shop. I stayed after to do an oil change, tire rotation,
And then Scott
Um,
said, hey, why don't you change these parts with these other parts?
and I went, that's a good idea. I
As
should
Scott-
do that
Scott
before
has good
winter really
ideas.
hits.
Scott always has the best
Scott has the
ideas.
best ideas. So this is what's ironic about it is on
Don't you
Thursday night, Neil calls me after we left the shop. Goes, hey, how do you feel about coming out of retirement on Saturday and doing an oil cooler?
And he was so for it.
And I'm like,
Get in an engine
yeah,
bay
sure, whatever, that's
physically,
cool.
I'm here for it.
I was like, cool, I'll do it. So not only did I wrench for the first time in 4 or 5 months now,
Yes.
Yep.
then
Felt good, right?
it felt good.
Until later.
And then I was working on my Jeep going, why was I doing this?
Nice.
I'm still pretty sore. I got to say,
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I warned you of that.
I know, but
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
at how sore that just 4.5 months of light duty can do that.
You're just
Yes.
a precursor. This is what always happens after the holidays. Everybody's like, okay, I ate all the fig pudding. I have had all my cheesecake. And now I need to go to the gym, and now I'm going to be sore. You're just doing it ahead of time. You're
There you
fine.
go.
I
Look
guess.
at you.
Yeah. So,
Trendsetter.
so needless to say, there was a lot of welding on nuts and air hammering, and
He can tell you why cheap import products suck.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
yeah, yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
But the Jeep looks
So,
so much better now.
It looks better. It
As,
looks
as,
cool.
as I told my wife, it was the longest oil change I've ever done. I did not rotate the tires yet. I still got to do that.
You should do that.
I gave up about by the time I finished up and cleaned up, it was 5 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm just going home and eating dinner.
yeah,
Right.
So
Right.
it happens.
It totally does.
When you start a project, you have to have your expectations up here and then your reality.
I
And sometimes you lose a couple in that
Mhm.
process.
I think the most important part is that I did not burn the shop down.
Yep.
And that prior to starting here, I've never used a welder.
That's
Sure.
all true statements.
So me using a welder with no supervision was
And basically succeeding.
Yeah. You did. You did.
And when the Jeep told you, no, I will not conform, you're like, I have an air hammer and I know how to use it.
yeah. Adapt
mean,
to overcome.
get a bigger
Pretty much-
hammer.
Pretty
and
much
I use
goes how
that.
most Jeep projects go.
Yeah.
You
So-
ask, then you tell it, and then it retorts, and then you use an air hammer.
and then you use the air.
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty much it.
That is perfect. Oh goodness. Well, and
And I know
In a
you
sense-
were working on your house, right?
well, I was gonna say, and in a sense that the Thursday conversation, it's important to us as a brand, and we're gonna be talking a little bit. We're gonna make this episode kind of as succinct as possible to really be very factual about SFJ 4x4 as a whole. One of those things that started for me when I reached out to you is that our team is taking the time off that is needed for them to recharge and celebrate the season with their family and use up their PTO and whatnot. Our lead performance mechanic was going to be off over the weekend and the first of the week, so we didn't really want to start a job that would then carry over for him necessarily. And there was some maintenance on Chuck Norris that I have been neglecting to do for a very long period of time. And I wanted to bring it in and have Greg crawl around on it a little bit and do some stuff with and for the Jeep.
Plus the other 5 Jeeps that he touched.
Totes. So that was part of you coming out of retirement. So it kind of starts with me with this kind of self-fulfilling, like it's good to see Chuck get in. I also need to do a tire rotation. Didn't. Those 40s are not like happy about that,
It's fine.
Not to mention the aesthetic of the fact that I cobbed up that one steel wheel last winter, and now I have to put it in like the front position, and they're balanced with beads, which I don't recommend to anybody. And the thing just runs 75, 80 just pleasantly down the road, and I'm really concerned about rotating tires.
Yeah. You're going to upset it.
I'm going to upset it, but I'm going to chew up my front tires if I don't rotate them.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. So I start there. From there, I'm fueled by all the caffeine and ibuprofen and maybe a little disdain for humanity, but that's a side note.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm gonna go all in. So we had in Conneaut, our local markets, our local community hosted a Christmas market. And this was somebody in town trying to do something new and create positive change and forward momentum.
From what I saw the pictures on social media, it looked like a great time.
A super cute little time,
Yeah.
right? And it's really intended to be a
And mad props to that Santa. I mean, he had mad Santa game.
oh yeah, it was a
Like-
fantastic Santa.
Oh, my goodness.
Might have been the real one.
I think it
It
was.
could have been the real one.
Got some pull in Connie out there.
Seriously. So it was like a Lifetime movie, like Christmas market. Pittsburgh has a beautiful Christmas market that I go to. This was a similar setup, and it was well worth the time, energy, and investment going there as a outreach everything was like free. So
That's awesome.
I don't exactly understand how that worked. I mean, outside of your food, right? That was the only thing you really had to pay for. So, and then you could choose to go to like craft fairs and like vendors and stuff like that. And they're looking for people in the future. So if you're listening to this and you're in the regional market and you have a good that you can sell or vend, might be an interesting outlet for you right before the holidays, a little cash bump.
And if you do have that soap business, you definitely want to check out the American Hustle.
Yeah, right.
Because we talk about those.
We talk about soap businesses constantly.
Yes.
So then Saturday morning comes around, and I'm all house all weekend basically, and from sun up to sundown both days. The weather was spectacular Saturday, and it was terrible Sunday, but it didn't matter. Jason and I worked out in the rain, did the things. I actually planned into my day a outfit change. So on Sunday, I actually worked to the point where I was soaked to the bone, and midday went home, changed into all different clothes, and went back at it.
So how far are we on the siding project?
The siding is going really well.
I was
That's
going to
really
say,
what it
if
comes
you
down
worked
to.
hard on it on Saturday when the weather was nice,
It was gorgeous.
you
yeah.
had to have made a lot of
Yeah,
progress.
so I've never done vinyl siding before. Didn't know anything before it started. I had Greg go out there and gave me a lot of confidence how he started it. I've consulted with Jeffrey, who's done a good bit of it. Kevin, one of our friends and customers, who's done it. I've consulted with these folks, and a lot of people have assisted in that conversation. And then Jason and I got out there and we just started having at it. And the house is looking like a house. It's just so cool to see it lay out the way that it's laying
Maybe
out.
Patreon can get an update on that.
Patreon is absolutely going to get a couple picture updates.
Good.
So
if you're not on Patreon, go subscribe.
Yep, I was actually thinking about that while I was laying in the dirt, thinking, "Hey, I should, let the Patreons know what this looks like." And it's important to note that the house started as a storage container. Basically, it was like a FEMA trailer.
Yep.
And so then the delicate nature of the fact that it's still tax considered a shed at this moment by our
It's
local
unscathed, it's
authorities.
fine.
That's why I'm not making it a big public enterprise that I'm building this small house, but it's all going to get there.
I mean, it's still storing things.
Right.
It's storing things.
Yeah, that's
It's
why you
not a
haven't moved
skid.
into it.
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
right.
living in
I'm
it.
not living in it, so
it's fine.
it's perfectly acceptable.
Just going back to comments quick, we got Dave Jones, Morning Team SFJ.
Good morning, Dave.
Darla, can't wait to see it. And Chip, vinyl siding is one of my favorite jobs to do. Once you get started, it's pretty fun.
It is.
It really is.
It's like a weird immediate gratification that we get out of like tire wheel packages on our
Yeah.
Jeeps. Like it
You
looked
can
one
stand
way.
back and go, wow, that's
Wow.
different.
Yeah, because of course all of our projects, when we talk about doing projects, when you get to that devil in the detail part of the job, like when you're doing wiring or you're laying out plumbing, or you spend 3 hours, figuring out just how to get, a vent tube from here to there,
Or 2 weeks on dash knobs.
or 2 weeks on dash knobs, it's pretty underwhelming and kind
Yeah.
of defeating.
Yes.
But you put some vinyl siding up, and all of a sudden it looks,
Yeah. Once you get past the starter strips and the trim work,
yeah.
everything else is just almost therapeutic.
So as far as the trim work is concerned, I really just absolutely cobbed up one of my windows, to which I ended up having to completely redo it yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I did. Right? It's
Yeah.
it's what you do with the car. And I was actually talking with my mom about it. I think it's one of the things that makes SFJ unique is the sense that it was done and
Yeah.
it was okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Most would
And
have
I-
moved on.
Most would have moved on, and if I would have paid for the service, I would have been upset.
Yes.
Right? But if I was a free and somebody had done it for me, I'd go, okay, well, you get what you pay for, and it was, my own effort and investment at that point.
That's
and
good
I'm-
enough.
It's good enough, you know.
Yep.
And then I step back, and Jason and I are looking at it, and we're just kind of like unpacking, and I'm thinking, it's just not going to be okay. I'm just never going to be satisfied with the aesthetics.
Is this the window that Greg lectured you about?
No, that's not even that big of a deal, but this is just an aesthetic piece. I ended up having to add another trim piece there.
Yeah.
To that window structure. So glad I did, but I mean, it's just an added 2 hours of rework.
And that's another, now you have that experience and what not to do next time.
Yeah. Oh, no, 100%.
And it's really hard to explain what not to do until you're there and go, oh,
yeah.
I shouldn't have done it that way.
Shouldn't have done it that way. And I know more now than when I started X, Y, and Z, you know?
Yep.
So as far as, the house is concerned, and then I did end up taking a break because we had another Christmas party in the middle of Saturday as well. Go home, full costume change, Christmas party, which was a very pleasant experience for an organization that Scott and I are involved in, and then back to the house for the evening. So full day, to say the very least. As far as the weekend unpacked, got here last night, put in a little bit of time, looking forward to some stuff you made for a small project Jeep that I'm working on, and we'll hopefully put that to bed today as well. So, I mean, starting on Friday through today, it's been nonstop, the way that I like it. Family's doing pretty well, engaging in the Christmas spirit. So,
Did you know Christmas is next week?
it is.
Yeah,
it is.
We finally put up our Christmas tree, and now our cat, the youngest cat, has decided that she's on the climate a lot.
I was literally making dinner last night. Morgan had requested hamburgers for dinner, and he never wants hamburgers. So I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll make them." I dug out the frozen ground beef, thawed it out quick, and made some hamburgers.
Sure.
And as I'm making it, Xander's looking at the calendar, and he's like, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, only 8 more days till Christmas. I'm like, no, there's not. There's oh.
That's a good 10-year-old for you.
Yep.
I had to go quickly order some gifts.
Oh, Jeffrey.
This year has gotten away from me.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeffrey.
It doesn't completely feel like Christmas.
It doesn't.
I've heard that from a couple people, but Christmas is what you make of it.
It's what
I
you
gotta
make of
say,
it.
it feels more like Christmas now than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
But the weather's not right for it.
The biggest thing
There's
is
just-
you can't let excuses get in the way. Like, we knew our cat was going to chew on electrical wires and knock things off the tree and possibly capsize the tree, and be at eye level as already this morning. My wife had to pluck the kitten out of the tree. But
awesome.
at some point, the cat has to climb the tree.
Yeah.
And has to learn that you don't do that with a spray bottle. Anyway, so even though we could have said, we don't have it in us for the
I
dealing
feel
with
like
the kitten
I
in
feel
the
like
tree.
your kitten is gonna go, oh, it's a game now, and just keep doing it.
I think so. Yes, more than likely. But anyway, as the world turns, you have. It's up to you to make that change. And the sooner you do that, the better.
Sure.
You're in control of your destiny, and make it the best one.
Yeah, I've been slaying Christmas since Thanksgiving, so this is exactly that. I've just fully embraced it this year. That, and if you are unaware, I've had a myriad of family health issues that we're dealing with. It's been a particularly tough year. The recessionary trends of the local markets. Blah 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 blah. We can make any excuse in the world.
I think it's really fun to look at how wildly different our circumstances are treated. We both have crazy health things with our family this year. And I went, okay, I'm tired. I'm just going to take a break. And I did not go all out on decorating like I normally do.
Sure.
You're like, nope, more reason to decorate everything.
That's exactly. But you're and I guess
I'll do what's right for you.
And I'll self-admit it that and this is a moment of vulnerable sharing. Typically, my phrase is I'm fueled by hate and caffeine.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that. I don't mean that from the standpoint of kind of a negative.
He's not building a bulldozer.
Pessimistic. Yeah, I'm not building a bulldozer. I'm actually, if I am anything, it's a bulldozer of positivity.
Yes.
I'm coming for everything that the world is trying to
You're
take from.
doubling down.
I'm doubling down. And
Yeah.
I don't care if it's for our customers. I don't, if for the recessionary gobbledygook BS that everybody's trying to make an excuse about. If you're a vendor trying to tell me I can't get the parts for the customer that paid for him 6 months ago, like, I'm doubling down on everything. I'm fired up at what the world is trying to take from me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
And has attempted or is taking from me, from our customers, from our Jeep family. And so I've gone to more events. I've gone to more things. I've sacrificed more finances. I've leveraged more X, Y, and Z, and I'm doubling down.
All the tree on top of a Jeep.
Yeah, and you know what the thing is? The more I double down, the more invested my resource network becomes. And I don't mean that in a superficial to say resource network, but I mean family, friends, coworkers, customers. The more that I go all in, the more that people step up. And that's been the most remarkable thing in the
Someone
process.
just needs somebody to kind of poke their head above the water and go, I am not giving up. This is not okay.
I won't give up the ship.
And it, if you just continue that negativity down, there's going to be someone else to just feed off that.
Yeah.
And I want to clarify that mine is not negativity, but it's the realization that I'm only doing that for myself.
Yeah.
It's a self-fulfilling decoration and putting that pressure on, and I didn't need to do that. And I'm going, you know what? I've done this every year. I've always gone all out. It's okay to take a break.
Yes.
And I'm making that realization.
And that's an important part of life, right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't our situations are not, to be compared, but like I'm going to put Darla's business out there because it's all over YouTube and our social anyways. We're doubling down on Darla's situation.
Yeah.
She and by self-proclamation, she chose the path that she ended up in, but she got some scumbag who took her for money and time and energy.
Yep.
And
It wasn't right.
It wasn't right. And so we double down and we make that better, and we've seen a community grow around the fact that, hey, that she got taken advantage of from a painter or self-proclaimed individual, and now we're attempting to overcome that, you know?
And it doesn't matter how many times you cob up that window frame, as long as you keep trying to make it better.
Yeah.
And even if it's not the most perfect window frame, even after that.
Oh, yeah, and that's exactly it. Or at the end of the day, that you are, self-fulfilled, right? In Jeffrey's situation, to say, hey, I'm going to rest because I have allowed myself, I have the authority, the power of will to say, I'm okay in this moment and I'm going to rest, and that's also incredibly valuable. It doesn't,
honestly,
they are both the similar power in my, power dynamic.
And Chip is saying, gotta fight every day. If you stumble and fall, it's okay. Just get up and never stop fighting. And Jennifer, your sister's getting in and going, this sister therapist is loving the conversation. You guys are awesome.
We're trying.
No doubt. And I think it's a fair segue into talking about, as we talk about the Ghost of Christmas Future, the family tree. There's a number of analogies that we can make on the conversation, but to create a position where we talk exactly about what this brand is made of and is doing, right? And that's kind of what we want to review for you as far as a year in review of 2023 or up to this point, and kind of set the stage for 2024, right? And yet to come. So the idea is that there is a diversification of brand of the brand and roles that individuals are fulfilling, and that you can reach us or find our content in a lot of different manners. So we want to kind of lay it out in one place and say, hey, this is definitively what we're doing and where we're at and how we've kind of gotten to this position, right? Because I'm a firm believer in the fact that all too often people who are entering the Jeep market within the last year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever, I always used to say we are the brand that you think we are, because when we sold used parts, you thought we were a used part vendor.
Yep.
When I started this and I was out of my house in Meadville, you thought we were a Meadville or Pennsylvania-based business.
Yep.
The business has continued to grow and scale, and so it can be a little confusing, right? Because if you're just one brick and mortar.
Adapted.
It has adapted. It's adapted to the market. And it's adapted to our consumer base. It's adapted
to our
skill sets.
Yep.
Whereas if you're just one business with a very set business model that you can't kind of go outside of that specific.
You're going to fail.
You're going to fail, or you're just always going to kind of be in that plateau position.
Exist.
In an existence.
Yep.
So, this is an opportunity for us to reflect a little bit, but then also set the stage of going, how do we continue to double down or fight the fight, or
What does our Christmas future look like?
Yeah, or authorize our rest, or whatever it might be, to be fulfilling to our customers, ourselves, and the brand as it moves forward. So, I think it's valuable to say that just as a clear cut, the parent holding company is Simpson Family Jeeps Incorporated. And then we do business as SFJ4x4 and SFJ4x4.com. That's going to be an entity, kind of over here to the side. We have 2 primary podcasts that Jeffrey has been responsible for producing. They are uploaded audibly to all of the major streaming platforms. We are actually monetized through those.
Yes.
And through the listening audience, we do gain some financial revenue from that, which is beneficial. And obviously we have the gain of consumer confidence and the ability to reach out to people. Those 2 podcasts are what, Jeffrey? You want to give us a brief synopsis on
So
that?
the American Hustle and I Speak Jeep. And I Speak Jeep obviously is a podcast we're on right now. And it is about the Jeep life, the life and low range that you've come up with, just enjoying being a Jeep owner.
And it's important to note, we didn't set out to do these for
monetization. No.
That's a little side benefit, which we're not going to retire on anytime soon.
No,
But we do it because we love it.
Yep.
We're passionate about it. We want to be genuine about it. That's something that we all kind of have an axe to grind, is we don't like when somebody is not in it to win it, or faking it, or however you want to put that out there.
And I really like the evolution of I Speak Jeep.
Yep.
How it started with you guys sitting in Old Blue
in a dark
cave before I was around.
Hey, we had to try it, and we don't know what we don't know until you know it.
Right.
And then
right.
then I came around, and Davey came around, and it was, hey, why aren't we doing the podcast like you started?
And we went,
So
because of this and that and maybe that. And
I had all the excuses, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So we ended up trying it again with just you and Scott initially.
Yep.
And then
we
we
started that charisma of Jeffrey.
It started with that little the side host from the late night shows.
Yes.
And I was just that voice, and then started like, well, hey, let's put him on camera. I'm like, no, let's not put me on camera. Well, here I am on camera.
Yep.
Yeah, we had that one podcast where he filled in. And it
Oh,
was just
terrible.
Scott
Train wreck.
It was terrible. It was
Train
terrible.
wreck.
It should be out there on YouTube somewhere, but it was
Oh.
absolutely terrible.
You should not go find that. I
Well,
encourage
you
you
should,
to not
because
go
that
find that.
is we had to learn, and we
Yeah.
had to adapt. But we still did it, even though it was a bad thing. It was
Yeah.
a train wreck.
Yeah.
And I honestly, personal thing, or however you want to put it. Growing up, I saw a father that was very capable and was I thought he could do anything. Grew up and realized that no, he's just a human like anybody else. But as a young person, I thought, well, Dad can do that. He can weld that. He can get that bolt out. He can fix that. He can put that motor in there. And because that almost gave me too high of an expectation, so then when I went to do it myself, I couldn't do Dad, and then I didn't try.
Right.
And then I would make up excuses. And I, early part of my life, started 100 different projects. Didn't get any of them done because I made a blockade of why I couldn't do that. And sometimes it takes somebody like Neil or Davey or Jeff or somebody coming in and be like, well, why can't you do that? And then you have to be real and go, I'm just making excuses.
Yeah.
And it's, the first time you weld, it's not going to look good. The first time you bend that piece of metal, it's not going to look good. First time you do an auto recording on Scott Brown's phone in a little Jeep cave, it's not going to come out good. But you did it. And
Yep.
now you know why you need to do this process or that process. Or you do the window 14 times and it's still not good. It is all part of that growth mindset.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of part of the visual aspect of our studio also grew with
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Started in Blue, old
Yeah,
Blue.
Old Blue.
Then it was at a table with you guys sitting side by side.
Yep.
And then we did a little almost round table approach.
Right.
Yep.
And then
Such a small table.
it was a very small, but as we evolve now, we've got the couch layout.
Yeah.
and
Yep.
it's more and more comfortable, more professional, and improving upon.
Well, and it's honestly, it's largely driven by our listening audience, our viewing audience as well, in cooperation with what our skill set and our resources have available to us, and just kind of a little bit of serendipity as well. You can't unpack Neil Simpson without me talking about God and a higher power of some nature, and the fact that the couch that Scott's sitting on and the couch that we're sitting on have these great nostalgic meaning for me, and that just flat out makes it fun and funny.
Yeah.
Right. It gives character to the conversation, and this studio in the current configuration is something we did in 2023, and it's something as simple as that, to say we took some feedback. Specifically, one of the individuals reached out, was Kevin. He gave some feedback, said, hey, you should try X, Y, and Z, and we had already toyed with it, and internal conversations, and it just worked. It made sense.
Yep.
As we tried it further, right? So you can find this podcast. Well, then you did not mention the American Hustle. I'm going to give unless you want to.
So no, that's fine. You can talk about it. The branch off from I Speak Jeep was into the American Hustle.
Yes.
And I'll let you kind of give the background on how that happened and what it's about.
As much as I love the American Hustle, it is a secondary podcast. It was a spinoff, and what I think the easiest thing for me to say is it is the underlying core of the SFJ4x4 difference. What sets us apart from other brands or businesses? And ultimately, I've always said it's not what we do that makes us special, it's how we do it. And so the American Hustle is a podcast based on personal development, social improvement, and entrepreneurship and leadership. So and there's a number of other of those cliche or catchphrase talking points, but that's really it. And it's a conversation between Jeffrey and I. We only do it audibly. It's not on a live stream or anything like that. So those are all available. People all the time ask me, where can I listen to it? Amazon. You could literally, if you have an Echo, you can just say, Echo, play me the most recent episode of The American Hustle, and it'll play it for you. Spotify, Google used to have a Google Cast. I think that's down.
There's something going on with that.
They've changed something there.
iTunes
is a big one for us.
iHeartRadio has a podcast channel.
So those, all of those major streaming platforms, and then obviously you can download it as well to your personal device, so you don't have to stream it.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with any of those streaming platforms, you can go to our website. We have them listed on our website, and you can actually use those links to go right to the main streaming from it.
Yep. So our podcast, and that's another thing we'll talk about, as the brand itself. So those are genuinely international podcasts, and one of the pieces I've always said is, if we can just get out in front of the audience and get people to hear what we have to say and the passion in which we share it, then that will improve our reach tenfold, and that's ultimately the objective of both of those.
Well, and it's important to note too that the American Hustle was not just an immediate concept. It was, we talked about it, toyed with it. We both wanted to do something for leadership and self-improvement and just being a better person.
Right.
And then we tried how many different recording sessions before we found a format that we liked.
Sure. A format and a time frame. And
yep.
I think that we're an automotive business. We show up and we work on Jeeps and our property maintenance and all those types of things. And we're taking time out of the day specifically to produce these for our listening audience. And that's a pretty substantial thing, because as you mentioned, we're not retiring off the podcast by any stretch of the imagination. Those podcasts, besides your major streaming platforms, your I Speak Jeep is going to get uploaded to YouTube on the I Speak Jeep podcast YouTube channel, typically by Friday. Okay. Your major streaming platforms, this audible version of I Speak Jeep goes up on Wednesday.
Almost always.
Almost
I
always.
may have
That's all right.
fumbled the ball last week, but it still was up.
That's all right. So you get the live version today. In the beginning, we were taking down the live version within 24, 48 hours. It goes up on audio. We really want you to do the download or the stream over there. And if you are not available to do either of those, it goes onto the I Speak Jeep podcast YouTube channel, which is basically a library for these visual recordings and audio, obviously. So
Often, in most cases, unedited. So
Yeah.
what you see live is what you're seeing on YouTube.
correct. We tried doing some post-production edits in the beginning. We're creating enough content right now, and there's a conversation of investment to return. So it basically just goes, file to file.
Yep.
But that is how you're going to be able to access this. So we have the I Speak Jeep podcast YouTube channel. We also have the SFJ4x4 YouTube channel, which has, a number of videos over the years, some how-to, some unboxings. The biggest driving forces over there are how to buy a Jeep videos. We've got the How to Buy a TJ, which is just a wildly viral video, incredibly successfher, followed by How to Buy a CJ. Both of those videos are again, by YouTube standards, wildly successful. And then we have a number of other fun, engaging content over there, of which we were doing marketplace reviews, which is basically like buying a vehicle and how to sell a vehicle and how you should, market it and all that kind of stuff, which we've got great feedback on. That has taken a back burner while we worked on what was previously considered to be Tech Tuesday. So in 2023, we were making Tech Tuesdays, and that has naturally progressed into a lifestyle vlog series called Life in Low Range. Life in Low Range has kind of taken on its own identity, and it is kind of a snapshot of the life of the characters of this business. We have joked in the past, we are really authentically the oddities that we are.
Yeah.
Not
We're not playing a character on camera for you guys.
No,
it's just who we
and,
are.
And
I'm sorry.
Wh-
It's really
whether
who we
that's
are.
whether that's good or whether it's bad, we are just kind of who we are. And this is just kind of an inside look on some family stuff. You get some Jeeps, you get some automotive, you get some experiential things.
Well, and just along those same lines of who we actually are, Chip's just saying at best in the comments here, I think the podcast has brought Scott out of his shell. He's way more talkative and seems more comfortable in front of the camera, including Tech Tuesday updates and Life in Low Range videos.
100%.
So
And again,
you're
it's
seeing us grow and develop as individuals as part of these.
100%. And that's part of the process of redoing the window, going, it kind of sucked the first time, but I'm not going to let it just accept that that's the best it can be.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to move forward on it.
Yep. Got to do it the best you can.
Absolutely. You start somewhere. You got to start somewhere, and then you just got to improve from there. So Life in Low Range has taken on its own identity within the ownership or branding of SFJ4x4. And people are responding very well to it, and we appreciate all of our people participating over there. It's important to note that we really would love for you to share that and get the word out there, because the people who are invested in it are really digging it, and the commentary, the feedback, the interest in it has been very fulfilling for everyone involved. So we have that as our social content. We have every intention to continue pushing that out. Just as a factual piece, we are monetized on YouTube as well through that process, and so those, again, we're not going to retire off of it. We're not even able to kind of self-fulfill and pay for the YouTube process entirely by itself. But it is another income or revenue stream, and it's a way where we can continue to reach our audience and have those conversations.
Well, and that's why the Patreon that we ended up adding in is so important, because it does help us pay for the time, the energy, and the equipment that it takes to put this content out there.
So I would tell you that we have yet this is another offshoot. Is the Patreon was released in 2023. The Patreon has opened the door. It is basically a subscription service, and that does then directly show support for these processes.
Yes.
Right? And so be that content creation, merchandise, further growth of the brand, scaling of the business in general, those individuals are basically the ones who are stepping up and saying, hey, we like what you are doing on a large scale. We're here to support you how we can, not just through the build of our vehicles or the purchase of parts, but that added piece to say, hey, I'm investing in the success of what you guys are doing.
And then going into next year, yet another addition that we're doing with the podcast is we're going to work on the Amazon affiliate links.
Correct.
And we're going to be bringing product links to you that we use, products that we like from Amazon.
In our services. So
and our services and our household, whatever it may be, products that we've already done the research on, we've already tested and proven whether or not they're good products. And we're going to give you those links, and that will help also pay for.
And that's something we've always
marketing.
wanted to do. We've always wanted to have that product on our own Jeep and tried it and feted it and kind of that way when we can go back to it and say factually, hey, this is what I've done with it. And you can always have something happen, or an outlier, but that's way better than going, well, I saw that in a catalog one time, and yeah, I can sell that to you.
Yeah,
and
this data set looks like it should work on your vehicle. You know,
and then you find out that it's actually 1/4 of an inch off, and it doesn't fit.
Sure. Or some of the consumables and stuff that we use.
Yep.
That people ask, you know, and if you're listening at home, you don't have to buy that marine grade copper tinned lug from us because you only need a 3-pack. You can just go online and buy it just the same, but you're looking at it going, well, there's 15 different choices. You're going to be able to go, hey, this is what we actually use on customer vehicles when we build out, you know, a full build. So here's, you know, how you can consume that. So we'll have, you know, that going forward into the future. So we have our YouTube channel, we have 2 YouTube channels. We have 2 podcasts. We have the Patreon link. We have a very successful organic Facebook and Instagram page. The Facebook page has been the priority. The big thing about this business is throughout kind of the whole history of it is everything is organic. It's always been very important to me that we don't pay for ClickBank, ClickFarms, or any other type of falsely inflated data sets or numbers.
You mean we're not buying email lists?
We're not buying email
lists.
lists.
We're not selling email lists. We're not doing any of that.
Totes, right? So we're going to build everything out. So the people who are invested in the business are the ones who are actually getting communicated with. They are actually the people who are going to interact with the social media content creation. Obviously, you know, we want to have authentic and unique content for people. So that's why the Savage, who every once in a while comes on screen or you see him at shows, I mean, he is employed full-time creating content. That is just the nature of his role within the business, and will be as we continue to go forward and grow, making social media content, managing those pages, managing the YouTube channels, and that aspect of the social content creation, curated content. We have also in the past year, as an offshoot, started all of our own in-house merchandising. So one of the things that I started with Davey was A&O Apparel, which you will see released in the very near future. That'll be in 2024. I had hoped to release it in Q4 of 2023. That didn't happen. Life happened. That's okay. The window sucked. I'm just going to hold off and redo it and wait a little longer. Be patient, you know. And A&O is our in-house merchandising. So what we started doing was seasonal hoodies, seasonal shirts, all of our own ability to produce merchandise that will benefit both our folks within the business and and beyond, right? So A&O, the hope is that we will be able to assist community members in making small batch merchandise, shirts, so on and so forth, using the resources that we have worked hard, the skill sets, the equipment, stuff that directly benefit our business will now be able to benefit the community as a whole in a broad manner. So that's something that was in creation, and you will see as part of our big Jeep family, us moving forward. So that's a good swath of the aspects of social media, merchandising. As we talk about our brick and mortar, we have obviously to kind of exactly delineate our roles and expectations. We have our performance services, and that's basically Greg's going to be our lead performance mechanic. So our big engine swaps, our slinky suspensions, our gear and axle work, our quality high functional lighting, that's all going to be largely under the direction and care of Greg. He and I do a lot of problem solving. We do the kind of the initial build out or layout, and he works his magic within the vehicle itself. Jeffrey was on the service floor on that within that division, if you will. But his skill set really was apparent on the front end of the business, and I'll get to that in just a hot second. So we've kind of opened up a position for a technician from the service side of things. Scott has really rooted in the role of our restorative services expert, right? And so you can just add that to one of his many hats and titles.
Yep.
Mad scientist has the main umbrella.
Mad scientist has the main umbrella. That's just the reality of the situation. And so we have this restorative services. We're doing crazy cool things, nut and bolt restorations, and rebuilds.
And that department alone is probably going to be asking for another position sooner than later.
We are absolutely going to be looking for an apprentice tech for that department, somebody who can kind of learn under Scott's tutelage and help through the process as we continue to grow that. Because as of right now, we are booked paid deposits on our vintage and restorative services through 2025. That's just the reality of the situation. It's also very important to us that if you have become a customer of ours in the past, that you are still given priority service. So we're not going to book in new jobs when our existing customer base is still asking for continued investment from us. So we have the two departments, if you will, of how we approach our services within our brick and mortar. Jeffrey has moved over full-time in about the past 4 months of front-end customer sales and support, and as kind of an administrative position, making sure that I got to be honest, I mean, people, you're getting callbacks better than I ever could have done. You're getting, a touch point when you call in better than what was happening before.
He's
consistent
handling parts as they come in the door.
Handling parts, making us more efficient in that process. And so the consistency, the efficiency that is happening within the business has continued to bubble to a fevered pitch in 2023, allowing these changes and these specializations to take place, making room for some other technicians to come in and support the process.
We're laying the foundation for a rapid expansion is how I look at it.
That's the goal.
As a team, we're all working on our specializations and our skill sets that we've learned throughout life. And making it maximize the business.
Sure. On a deeply personal note for our guys, things that make me really proud, which separates us from other businesses as well, is to see each of these guys go off into their own personal lives. Scott has built in the past year this gnarly at-home metal shop, which would make many individuals very jealous of the stuff that he's, even if they're entry level by his understanding, they're still advanced by what so many other people are capable of, or what we even had available to us, which has only made our processes better. It's the updates that you're seeing on his personal social, and here,
and on the Patreon. I've been trying to
and on the Patreon,
sure
and the Discord.
show a little on the Discord of what mad scientist project he's working on for the business at home in the middle shop.
Right.
And we've been doing more of that as kind of seeing that need.
Absolutely.
And a lot of in a nutshell, we keep seeing things and we're frustrated that, well, why is it expensive to get shirts and we don't get them on time and they're not the way we want them to be? So the heck with it. We'll do it here. and that way we know what quality shirt you're going to have, what vinyl you're going to have on it, how it's going to hold up.
In the time frame that we want it to be.
In the time frame we want it to be. Now, obviously, we're not going to do a manufacturing lift kit manufacturer next door anytime soon, but we are trying to control what we can inside. And one of the things that's frustrated me forever, well before I knew what a body hammer was, is that you pay $300, $400, $500 for a patch panel, and you get this cheap
and it shows up
thing.
here, and it doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit, and it has half the shape it's supposed to, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with that? Now, I've seen some people, by necessity, put those into their vehicle, and
necessity, or sometimes just not knowing better.
Not knowing better, and they've riveted, spot welded, glued, thrown it under the carpet, whatever means they necessarily need to get that Jeep onto the road a little longer, and that's just not acceptable in my thing. So I've been gaining and working at making patch panels better.
Sure.
And a lot of that has developed with the M38. On that, we literally, I'm very proud. We've only bought a hood to fix that Jeep. And compared to the 36, there's a lot of learning and expansion that has gone from that. I bought more panels of the 36. Wouldn't have done that looking back at it.
Sure.
And I hope to continue that skill and expansion. And hopefully in 5 years, I'll look back at the M38 and go, wow, why did you do it that way? You could have done it this way and it'd be better. But that's all part of that growth.
That growth mindset.
And being able to learn as you go.
Sure. And in the same period of time, Greg has built this gnarly wood shop.
Yep.
Which we've used that skills on the M38 as well.
Yep.
And in some personal development on the service floor
and we have awesome shelving.
Correct.
And bins for our containers. That's another thing. It's a small thing, but we did in 2023 is we picked a bin. And we're going to put all of these random things in this bin. And now Greg has made this awesome shelving unit that holds the bins. So we'll be able to go over and be like, hey, we need this random T-case bolt.
Sure.
And it's going to be in the bin on the shelf where it's supposed to be.
Labeled.
Craziness.
Right. As part of our continued investment or plowback into the brick and mortar. And then obviously it goes without saying, but Jeffrey has done a number of things, had some big life stuff, but then the nonprofit that you've gone and created in 2023.
Yeah.
And that administrative approach that then, both personally improves you, but then benefits in an indirect fashion the business as well as you polish those skills and gain that experience.
Right, yeah. What I learned there easily transfers over to here. Like one of the things is website management. I've learned a lot more about website management and the backside of websites.
Sure.
That I can use here as we develop ours.
And that is something that we have encountered in 2023 and we'll be pushing forward into 2024 is a revamp on the website. I really like the fact that you can land on SFJ4x4.com and you can browse our merchandise, you can browse the podcast episodes, you can find our YouTube channel, you can see some nice customer reviews and testimonials, but it has reached its capacity as its ability to grow with us, and ultimately our goal is to relaunch in 2024 a different website itself.
Under the same URL web address.
Yeah, absolutely, as SFJ4x4.com, but the back end and the functionality of it to better support individualized part purchasing. Because ultimately this business started trying to make sure that you had the right parts for your project. It wasn't exactly about us building Jeeps. We just kind of naturally progressed into it, much like the podcast, much like any of the other things. Seeing an opportunity and being willing to redo that window to grow that
and
that
seeing
aspect.
that needed to be in the market in our area, because of at that moment in time there wasn't one.
Sure.
So real quick in the comments, Chip is saying, I think Neil's starting to sweat a little as the singing of the 12 Days of Jeepmas approaches. It's about time to get awkward. Now, before we get awkward, though, I'm going to give you a few more minutes of
reprieve.
Yeah. So as we talk about where we've been, what's happened in 23, let's talk about the future. What are some expectations and realistic goals in the next year to 2 to 3 years that our customer base should be looking forward to?
Yeah, so things that are actively in the works right now, and I know that it's we have some infrastructure improvement, which is specifically centered around a I don't want to use the term public restroom, but a accessible restroom for people who are going to be coming to our events. Because I didn't even get to talk about how big our parades became in 2023.
Yeah.
But as part of our continued goals is to improve upon that, to improve upon our ability to create unity within our community. Because while we're not advertising the ownership or the direct relationship, the I Speak Jeep Facebook group is intended to be a community-based group for all businesses, all brands, all people, all Jeep owners of walks in life. You don't exactly have to be a customer of ours. You don't have to listen to this podcast. We're looking to create that group into just a helpful, drama-free, tech-inspired, fun space to be in. As a social page. Not saying there's anything wrong with any of the other social pages out there, but just an opportunity to expand.
Throwing our hat in the ring.
Throwing our hat in the ring, much like we have with the other things. With that said, that same type of double down on trying to create community awareness is by growing the parades and those community events, and also going and supporting other people's that they're doing. And so allowing other businesses, other groups, kind of airtime to encourage and explain what they're doing from our platforms, right? The platforms we work very hard to create, now trying to bolster our community using the platforms that we've created. That's really kind of where that page is coming. So the infrastructure improvement of that, there's a couple hopes and dreams as far as infrastructure as we start to kind of get rid of some of the green space, which is just lawn in our in and around our specific little parcel, our brick and mortar. We've organized some of the used parts and how we're storing them. It would be advantageous to be able to further be able to park maybe the south of the building or behind the building. So being able to have less grass to mow and more kind of automotive storage space would be a valuable. I'd like to try and address that to the best of our ability in 2024. Otherwise, one of the biggest pieces that I'm looking forward to is bringing in additional help, bringing in that next important person to pick up the torch, right? And we want to light their torch as bright as we can, and bring them into the fold, and whether that be into the restorative services or in the performance side, that will be one of the big advantages. With Jeffrey taking over a lot of the front end work, it's allowed me to regain some of the ownership roles and also further invest in the social media content creation and delivery to our base. Website we were talking about. So brick and mortar is the infrastructure. Social outreach is going to be the I Speak Jeep page and the parades, and also supporting other people's endeavors. Website, e-commerce will be that. A&O Apparel will be the launch of that merch line for community access. You need 5 shirts made for your family reunion or whatever. We want to do that. And I think that, and then and ultimately the investment in a few material items for the service shop that are important to me, but ultimately investing in the next right individual will be one of the biggest pieces that I'm looking for in the coming year. Was that pretty succinct in the process?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that other than that, it's a natural progression and growth. All right, folks, if you have questions about that, feel free to, obviously if you're in the live, you can jump in there and leave that. You can always reach us. One of the things we launched in 2023, I believe, was our text-only number.
Yeah.
And
that's
so we
true.
have the text-only number, which, people in the modern day, we love to text communicate. So we have that. You can always hit us up on that, 440-855-2100. Or email Jeffrey and let him know how we're doing, or if you have questions, JEFFC at SFJ4x4.com, or if it's a general inquiry, both the contact form on our website is good, or contact, CONTACT, contact at SFJ4x4.com. And you let us know how we're doing, and things that you're looking for, things that you want to see, something you're excited about, something you'd like improved upon. We're here for the feedback.
All right.
Without further ado, you can either turn off the live feed.
No.
You can
Share it.
You can share it as you
turn
can
the
put your
speakers up.
earplugs. Put your earplugs in. I really
If you're,
think
if you're watching it on your mobile phone with your headphones, take them out, put it on
not
speaker
suitable,
so everybody
not
can enjoy around you.
Not suitable for work environment. Not for cussing, but for the terrible nature.
That's why
of the
we're in a
singing.
meeting.
Yeah, that's right.
Chip saying, going to be an exciting 2024 for SFJ. Looking forward to seeing the business continue to flourish. And here we go.
Here we go.
I think Chip's a little excited.
What did I do?
Oh,
Oh, Jeffrey. Classic. Is this the same music as before?
Yeah.
God, why is it so awful to me? A Jeep built by Simpson family.
It was designed to compliment the
Jeeps.
singer.
Oh, God.
The second day of Jeepmas, my true love gave to me 2 Jeep Waves and a Jeep built by
Which
Simpson
you can
family
get a sticker of on our front
Jeeps.
counter.
The third day of Jeepmas gave to me 3 new Jeeps, 2 Jeep Waves, and a custom Jeep built by SFJ.
Which may or may not
Simpson
be one
family
of those
Jeep.
3 Jeeps.
Remember, we changed.
We didn't change it because my tech notes still have SFJ on there.
Oh,
You have
Jeffrey.
one
to fill in
job,
the blank.
producer.
Fill in the blank.
2 Jeep Waves and a Jeep built by
Jeff didn't give
Simpson
me any,
family
Jeff.
Jeeps.
I got called out on the flashcards.
5th day. Yeah. What is Scott doing in
I'm
this
adding
besides
helpful
unhelpful
commentary.
Golden Chiefs. 4 beadlock wheels, even though we're a 5 Jeep and spare tire business.
Yeah,
2
even on your
Jeep Waves
Gladiator.
and a Jeep built by Simpson family Jeeps. On the 6th day of Jeepmas, my true love gave to me 6 quarts of oil because it's clearly an 07 to 2018 JK.
Yeah.
4 beadlock wheels, 3 new Jeeps. Who has the money for 3 new Jeeps, Jeff?
Not me.
Listen, the
Jeff,
original
that was
song
a
is All
terrible
the Birds.
Talk. That was terrible.
The original
On
song's
the
All the Birds, so this song's
7th
All the
day of
Jeeps.
We're filling up a
Jeepmas,
side
my-
yard at this point.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they don't have to actually be new. They
No.
can just be new to me.
Just push it in the shape of a Jeep. It's fine.
Then Chiefs, 4 beadlock wheels, 3 new to me Jeeps, 2 Jeep Waves, and a Jeep built by Simpson family Jeeps
Maybe
Incorporated.
We have a community
day
Jeep pile.
of Jeepmas, my true love gave to me 8 badges of honors. Badges of honor, 7 slot decoration, 6 quarts of oil, 5 golden Chiefs, 4 beadlock wheels, even though you should have 5, 3 new Jeeps, 2 Jeep Waves, and a Jeep built by Simpson family Jeeps.
Chip said you can hear the train smashing up outside.
9th day of Jeepmas, my true love gave to me 9 weeks of wheeling, 'tis the season. Badges of honor, 7 slot decorations, 6 quarts of oil, 5 golden Chiefs.
We're talking full sizes, people.
4 beadlock wheels, 3 new to me Jeeps, 2
Three
Jeep
Jeep shit
Waves,
piles.
and a Jeep
That was
built by
Amy.
Simpson family Jeeps.
may or may not be in my
All right,
backyard.
this is all the new stuff, right?
Yep.
This my true love gave to me 10 rocks for climbing, 9 weeks of wheeling,
I like
8
rocks.
badges of honor, 7 slot decorations, 6 quarts of oil, 5 golden Chiefs,
Full size Jeeps.
4 beadlock wheels, 3 new Jeeps. I think the problem is the tone that you actually have the music. Did you make this music?
Yes.
It's literally doesn't follow the song.
I know.
11th day of Jeepmas, my true love gave to me. 11 Jeepers Jeeping.
Jeffrey.
Jeff, what did you consult your third grader for this?
So what this is that's 11 people started at the beginning of the process, and by the time you actually go wheeling, there's a guy by himself out in his Jeep.
There's one guy.
One guy.
The Jeep built by Simpson family Jeep. 11 Jeepers Jeeping.
Yeah.
The 12th day of
Totally cheating at that
Jeepmas,
point.
my true love gave to me. 12 podcast episodes, 11
No.
Jeepers Jeeping,
No.
10 rocks for climbing, 9
like rocks.
weeks of wheeling,
It's okay.
8 badges of honor, 7 slot decorations, 6 quarts of oil, 5 golden chiefs,
Full size.
4 beadlock wheels, 3 new
Should've had
Jeeps
5.
to me, and 2
Jeep piles.
Jeep waves, and a Jeep built by Simpson family Jeeps. Grandma got run over by a KJ.
Yeah.
So much better. We're doing
On
we're-
his way to, on her way to Moab this Christmas
And
Eve.
you could tell by the outline of the rust from the rockers.
It wasn't even a cool Renegade package.
No. Where did all those Jeeps go? Speaking of.
They're so cool. A
Yeah.
Rennie, what was it? A 2528? I think it was a
2.8
2.8 diesel. I would take one of those cages. If you are at home right now listening to us and you have
And it has rocker panels.
a Renegade 2.8 diesel
With
that
the
has
light
rocker,
bar.
has to have the light bar, has to
Yeah.
have the pocket flares,
Yes.
the 2.8 diesel, let me know. Reach
Yeah.
out. Email contact
Who
at
would've-
SFJ4x4.
Who would have known?
It's one of my bucket Jeeps. A bucket list is a Rennie YJ.
Jeep says add 3 maxed out credit cards for next year's
Oh,
version.
that would have been so
Chip
much
was
better.
that would have been Chip. Chip is hired.
Yes.
Joe is hired. Darla's on consultation, and Jeff has given us 11 Jeepers Jeeping.
Yep.
And he couldn't even write stuff out,
We're
and he
scraping
couldn't
the
make
bottom of
note
the
cards.
barrel.
Come on, Jeff.
Don't hurt our plant.
That's a nice plan.
It
Thank
is
you
a
for
nice
Sue
plan.
for giving
Yes.
out all the gifts that are if anybody who's thought of us, reached out, shared with us. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for a spectacular 2023. From our family to yours, we authentically wish you the best. We are thinking about you. If you've interacted with us at all, understand that our place and our position is one of true passion and caring about you and your family and your Jeeping experience. We wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa, a Happy Hanukkah, the whole,
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, winter solstice, all the good stuff. And we look forward to you finishing this year strong and all the adventures that we will all have. You as our listening, our viewing, our entertainment audience, and our physical custom builds here on our end. From Simpson Family Jeeps to you, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Jeep
Happy
on.
holidays and Jeep on.
Jeep on.